Hey guys, I'm going to preview the Toronto Raptors versus Cleveland Cavaliers series right now, and I'm going to give you guys my picks on the series as well. It's no secret, if you've been following me at all, I've been very high in the Raptors since the trade for Serge Ibaka and PJ Tucker at the break. But obviously, Cleveland is just about as tough a challenge as anybody is going to face. Now, here we go. I'm going to try to break it down with you guys. I'm going to go through the Raptors offense versus the Cavs defense, Cavs offense, Raptors defense, how I think they will play this series, how I think they should play this series, and which team, if any, has the advantage. I'm going to start off with the Raptors offense versus the Cavaliers defense. Now, if you've been following the Cavs the latter half of the season, you know that the Cavs defense has been pretty poor. If you go deeper into the numbers, though, what they've been most poor, where they've been the least successful defensively, has been facing pick and rolls. Even the Pacers in the first round, with a above-average point guard in Jeff Teague, but on the slower side for a point guard, averaged 1.07 points per pick and roll against the Cavs. Now, that's not very good. Throw in the fact that Toronto, by far and away, led the league in pick and roll scoring and attempts. I think this would be an obvious mismatch in favor of Toronto. Now, when you throw in the additions that Toronto added in, Tucker, but mainly Ibaka for the pick and roll, that allows them an extra shooter on the perimeter to cash in if Cleveland is going under the screens and trying to clog the paint, especially in pick and roll opportunities. Now, the X factor over here is obviously Lowry. Lowry, in order for Toronto to take advantage of this, they will need Lowry to be healthy. Now, the reason is, although DeRozan has been used prominently on the screen and rolls this season, he's usually, most of the time, he's just coming off the screen and pulling up with a jumper. Now, where Cleveland has been weakest facing the pick and rolls is against a true point guard that can penetrate and kick it out or drive it to the basket. So although I think DeRozan will have success this series, it is not necessarily going to come from the Raptors' biggest advantage, which is executing the pick and roll to perfection. Now, although they are missing Bismack Biyombo this time around, and we will go through any negative aspects it may have for the Raptors, but in this particular segment, the Raptors trying to take advantage of their pick and roll prowess versus Cleveland's suspect defense against the screen, Ibaka is actually a huge edge. We're in the past on offense with Biyombo. It's basically a 4-on-4, 4-on-5 offense. With one less shooter on the wing. Now, where I also think this helps Toronto is in a series which based on the matchups, should favor the home teams. And I'll get into that in a second, why I believe that's the case. I think on the road, this will give Toronto a better opportunity to win with Ibaka over Biyombo. Now, on the defensive end, obviously it's no secret that on defense it's going to be stopping LeBron James, obviously, but more than that, it's going to be how Cleveland fares from three-point range. Now, the reason for that is if you take a glance on LeBron's shot chart this postseason, in the regular season as well, but especially in the postseason, where he's been faring very well. All his buckets have been coming in the paint, virtually. I'm looking at the shot chart right now, it's just not coming up on the screen. But literally, where LeBron is taking advantage is in the post and around the basket. Now this is coming either on transition, where Toronto's going to have to be good on transition defense, especially though in the post, where he's posting up, down low. The vast majority of his baskets are coming within about 2 feet of the basket, and the shooting percentage is through the roof in that area. Toronto, however, the way they like to play defense is to pack the paint. They like to pack the paint, and they'll take their chances with the three-point shooters on the outside. Now, they did that against Milwaukee virtually the entire series. Milwaukee did get him a couple of games. And, one game where Milwaukee started hitting those shots early, it was on the road, Toronto was struggling, and the game got away from them. So basically, I think LeBron is going to have a tougher time in the paint. With Ibaka there, the secondary help, if Toronto's going to be packing the paint, it's going to come down to Cleveland's shooters on the outside. Now, if you notice last year, in last year's matchup, at home, Cleveland was dominant from three-point territory. On the road, not so much. Now, this is actually a fairly predictable trend where three-point shooting teams fare much better at home than on the road, as a rule, in these type of scenarios, meaning where the defensive team's closing the paint and they're kicking out the shots, and you need to make a open shot, a semi-contested shot. It's called an open shot, but basically where it is you're open for about a second as the wings try to crash the three-point line after the kick out. Now, last season with Biyombo, although he was a big advantage in the paint and defensively, when they were down, it is an extremely tough task to come back from a double-digit deficit playing 4-on-5. They had to sub him out, and Toronto was at a disadvantage. As soon as they subbed him out, Tristan Thompson had the advantage on the offensive boards. Now, in this series as well, the offensive board is going to be a key component. And I'm not sure how Toronto was going back and forth on this, how Toronto should play their starting lineup. Now, on the one hand, you want Valanciunas in there to, get Thompson in foul trouble. He's good around the post, and he's actually what I call a hesitation center, where he likes to pump fake, he likes to turn around, he likes to do the hook with the right hand, the hook with the left hand. Thompson generally bites quite a bit. He's gotten a bit better than that, but he still bites quite a bit. And you should be able to get Thompson in foul trouble. In addition to that, obviously Thompson he's been averaging, I believe, 6.8 offensive rebounds this postseason, and you cannot allow Cleveland any extra possessions. That goes without saying. So you can go Valanciunas on the floor, but Kyrie should be able to have a big series then if that's the case. Kyrie and as one of the premier penetrating guards should be able to take advantage of that. On the other hand, if you go Norman Powell, the way they went the last 3 games against Milwaukee, which not coincidentally they won all 3, that'll help you chase around the three-point shooters, but that may leave you a little susceptible to the offensive rebound inside, especially if Ibaka, as the help defender, is waiting for James to hit the hoop. Now, what they're not going to do, which I would do, is start P.J. Tucker. Now, they brought in P.J. Tucker for one reason. They brought him in to guard LeBron. I have no idea why they would not put P.J. Tucker in the starting lineup. That would absolutely be the right move, because that'll give you some prowess on the glass. He's a good rebounder, and him shadowing LeBron, which with LeBron's, if you're going to keep LeBron out of the paint, LeBron is not hitting too many jumpers over P.J. Tucker. It's just his jumper is a bit off right now. Even his free throw shooting is quite down. It's going to be a tough job for Cleveland to find much scoring with P.J. Tucker on the floor. Now you can go P.J. Tucker, Ibaka, Lowry, DeRozan, and if you want to sub out Patrick, if you want to sub in JV as well with that lineup, or Norman Powell. I'm fine with either one of those. If they do not start him, though, I think they'll be subbing him in pretty quickly when they realize that Damari Carroll or whoever else they're throwing at him has no chance against LeBron on the perimeter. In short, I see this as a very tough, competitive series. I believe Cleveland does have some deficiencies and holes which cannot be completely masked by LeBron. I do think that's a big problem for Cleveland guarding the pick and roll. Toronto was so good at that, at exposing your pick and roll defense. And this is literally a matchup of like top to worst. Like Cleveland is terrible versus the pick and roll. They really are bad. I'm talking about like compared to other teams. I think they're either last or second to last defending the pick and roll. They're just abysmal, and Toronto's number one. Toronto should be able to take advantage of that. Now, will Toronto be able to stop Cleveland's three-point shooting, especially on the road? I'm not sure. Probably not. But you only need about one game. You need one game where Cleveland's three-point shooting is just off. It may come in the first game, a long layoff, lots of rest sometimes. That'll cause the outside shooting to be off a little bit. So I'll be hoping for one game where Cleveland is having trouble from outside, from distance. And on the road, I think Cleveland is going to struggle from three. Struggle, I don't think they're going to be terrible per se. But with Toronto packing the paint defensively in Toronto at home, those outside shots generally don't fall as much. With the additions, with Ibaka as the extra scorer, and defensively with PJ Tucker versus LeBron, I do not see this series being easier for the Cavs than it was last year. Last year, Cleveland won in 6. I think this series is going to be at the minimum a 6-game series, probably 7, and I give Toronto a fairly good chance of winning. Now, I've been checking for the series over/under. I'm assuming it'll be around 5.5. I'll definitely be hitting the over 5.5. And now I'm on sportsbook.ag right now. I'm looking at my options to bet the series. Now Toronto has come down from plus 420 to 400 on the series. I do like that play, but what I like better, which I think offers better value, is there are two options. There's Toronto in 6 at plus 850 and Toronto in 7 at plus 1,000. Now, if Toronto does win, if they win this in 5, then you know what? Then I'll have to give up my bet. I'll be fine with that. If they're going to beat LeBron James in 5, then I give up. If they take it in 6 or 7, I think I'd rather split my bet. Taking Toronto in 6 at plus 850 and Toronto in 7 at plus 1,000 at 7.5 units apiece. If you don't have that, you feel free to take Toronto on the series price at plus 400. This is just better value, I believe, to take Toronto in 6 or 7. Good luck, let's cash, and stay tuned to my feed on Twitter where I will be releasing my play on the over 5.5 or whatever it is. I'll see when the lines are released. All right, good luck. Let's cash. Should be a great series.